Good morning students. Welcome to your new science class. In the last class, we completed the exercise questions of chapter 10. So today we are going to start with a new chapter, that is chapter 11, and it's about natural disasters. In the previous class, we learned about the solar system and the 8 planets. There we learned that the planet in which we live in is known as the Earth, and it provides a nature as well as it is filled with a lot of resources that is essential to meet all of our needs. But certain incidents creates an imbalance in our ecosystem, and this is known as disasters. So in this chapter, we will be going to learn about disasters and various types of disasters. First, let's see what a disaster is. So, a disaster is a sudden calamitous event bringing great damage and loss to both life and property. Now, let's see how they are classified. Based on the origin of the disaster, they are classified into 2 types. They are human-made disasters and natural disasters. So, a disaster is a sudden tragic event and it is divided into 2 types based on their origin. They are human-made disasters and natural disasters. First, let's see what are human-made disasters. So, a human-made disaster occurs as a result of negligent or deliberate human actions. These can be both intentional as well as unintentional, and it results in huge loss of life and property. So, a human-made disaster is a result of negligent or deliberate human actions. This can be both intentional as well as unintentional, and it causes damage to both life and property. What are the reasons for these human-made disasters? They are ignorance, unawareness, illiteracy, carelessly handling nature, and chemicals. So, the reasons for human-made disasters include ignorance, unawareness, illiteracy, carelessly handling danger, and chemicals. Let's see some examples for human-made disasters. These include oil spills in oceans, nuclear explosions, industrial accidents, etc. So, disasters are classified into 2 types based on their origin. They are human-made disasters and natural disasters. Human-made disasters are those that are caused by human beings, both intentionally or unintentionally. And the examples include oil spills, nuclear explosions, industrial accidents, etc. Now let's see what a natural disaster is. A natural disaster is an event that occurs naturally. So, a natural disaster is a sudden calamitous event that occurs naturally, and it causes damage to both life and property. The examples for natural disasters include earthquake, tsunami, flood, cyclones, volcanic eruptions, drought, forest fire, etc. So, natural disaster is an event that occurs naturally and it causes damage to both life and property. Some of the examples are earthquake, tsunami, flood, etc. Now, let's see the causes for the natural disasters. These include soil erosion, seismic activity, tectonic movements, air pressure, ocean currents, etc. So, these are the reasons that lead to the occurrence of natural disasters, and the reason for each natural disaster differ from one another. For example, the causes of an earthquake cannot be the same as that for the forest fire. So, the reason behind each of the natural disaster varies from one another. So, a natural disaster is an event that occurs naturally, and the examples include tsunami, cyclones, flood, earthquake, etc. Now, let's see what an earthquake is. Before we study about earthquake, we need to know the composition or the structure of Earth. So, the Earth is composed of 4 main components. They are the crust, mantle, outer core, and inner core. You need to know about these layers in order to study about the occurrence or the cause of earthquake. So, what happens is that the Earth's crust, that is the outermost part, is broken into numerous plates. These plates are known as the tectonic plates. They rest upon the mantle, and above these plates the land and oceans lie. So, what happens is that below the plates, that is below the tectonic plates, the Earth is very hot. It is filled with extremely hot magma, and magma contains rocks in melted form. So, the heat produced inside the Earth moves up into the tectonic plates, and these cause them to move. Normally, these tectonic plates glide past each other, but at times they collide with each other, which causes the surface, that is, whatever that lies above the tectonic plates also collide. So when the tectonic plates collide, everything that lies above these plates also collide, which leads to earthquake. Let me tell you once again, the outer part of the earth is composed of various plates, which is known as the tectonic plates. Below that lies the hot magma, and the heat from there rises to the plates, and this leads to the movement of the tectonic plates. At times, these move and they glide past each other, but sometimes these tectonic plates collide with each other, and it leads to the collision of everything above these plates to collide. This process or this event is known as earthquake. So let me tell you what an earthquake is. An earthquake is a sudden shaking, vibration or shock of the Earth's surface, and it occurs when the tectonic plates collide. It happens on land as well as sea, and it cannot be predicted. So earthquake is an event in which there is a sudden shaking on the Earth's surface, and it occurs due to the collision of the tectonic plates. Now let's see how the intensity of an earthquake can be measured. It is the Richter scale that enables us to measure the intensity or the magnitude of an earthquake. A Richter scale is a scale of numbers that is used to tell the magnitude, that is the intensity of an earthquake. It was developed by Charles F. Richter in 1935, and an earthquake of 7 Richter or more is very powerful. Usually the Richter scale has no upper limit. No earthquake have ever been registered on a scale above 8.6. So when we grade a Richter scale, if the grading is around 4, it is a minor earthquake. If it is around 5, it is considered as a moderate earthquake. If it is around 6, it is a strong one. And it is around 7, it is a major one. And if the grading is around 8 or above, it is considered as a great earthquake. So Richter scale is a scale of numbers that is used to tell the magnitude or intensity of the earthquake, and it was developed by Charles F. Richter in 1935. An earthquake of 7 or more is considered very powerful. Now let's see the regions in India that are prone to earthquake. So these are the regions that are very prone to earthquake in our country. These include Srinagar in Jammu and Kashmir, Shillong in Meghalaya, Guwahati in Assam, Aizawl in Mizoram, Kolkata in West Bengal, Gandhidham in Gujarat, Delhi and Ahmedabad in Gujarat. So these are the regions that are prone to earthquake in our country. Now let's see some of the measures that should be taken care of while the occurrence of an earthquake. So during an earthquake, go outdoors as quickly as possible. If you have to stay indoors, you have to stay calm and you have to turn off the cooking gas and electricity supply. And you must get under a table or bed and cover your head with a pillow. If you are outdoors, then you have to stand in an open area. Avoid being close to high buildings, walls, electricity and telephone poles and trees. If you are on the road, you have to drive away from underpasses, tunnels and bridges, and you must stop in an open area. These are the measures that should be taken during an earthquake. Now let's see some of the measures to be taken after an earthquake. So after an earthquake, you should not spread messages that will cause fear. You should not enter damaged buildings. And you have to remain alert since strong aftershocks are possible after earthquake, and you have to save drinking water as well as you must not use landline or mobile phones unless it is very necessary, since it may lead to telephone exchanges and mobile networks getting jammed. Next, you have to check for leakages of cooking gases, water pipes and for broken power lines, and you must wear shoes and helmets. These include some of the measures that must be taken after an earthquake. So these are the measures that you must take care of during and after an earthquake. So in today's class, we learned about disasters, the types of disasters based on their origin, that is human-made disasters and natural disasters. And we learned about earthquake, the natural disaster in detail. I hope the topics were clear to you. Thank you and have a nice day.